Hi guys, so I was recently on an atheist hangout show, and if you want to see that, I'll have a link to it in the description below. But one of the conversations that we had was centered around deconverting Christians and having them turn out to be atheists, and whether or not it was worth it. Whenever we're talking about deeply religious people, creationists for example, sometimes it's viewed as a lost cause. First of all, if it's similar to the Ken Ham thing and it's a public forum, other people are going to see that, and having that conversation generates a different thought process in a lot of people, so it's worth it. It's worth it to make that conversation a popular one to have. But if it's even on a one-on-one level, I don't like viewing any conversation with somebody as a waste of time. I don't want to consider any individual person a waste of time or a lost cause. I was once deeply religious, and I'm happy that I wasn't viewed that way. Now, one of the most popular questions that I get from people is, how do I deconvert someone? How do I get my religious family member to become an atheist? That's a really tough question, and I'm going to try to spend the rest of the video giving tips on ways of going about doing that. I obviously post very abrasive YouTube videos. They offend a lot of people, and that's one way, but I feel like, at least in my opinion, I think the type of video that I do only works for people who are open to changing their mind. And a lot of people who are deeply religious aren't that open to changing their mind. And sometimes people don't think that they are, and they actually are more willing to do so than they previously thought. So that's why, another reason why I don't want to view anyone as a lost cause, because I used to think there was no changing my mind. I believed in God, it was the truth, it had to be the truth, I was scared that it wouldn't be, and I forced myself to believe that it was. But there were just so many facts and so many people talking to me and telling me that I was indoctrinated, because when I started making YouTube videos, I would say that I was a Christian. And then I got challenged by a lot of people, and that process alone made me learn a lot of things about myself that I didn't think I would be opening to searching for before. And whenever I started watching other people on YouTube, those videos that were highly offensive, they offended me at the time, actually planted little seeds of wisdom in my head, or seeds of curiosity, or they motivated me to keep learning more about myself. And it actually worked for me, and I've talked to other people, friends and stuff, and they said that my videos have actually helped them, even though they initially found them to be offensive, shocking and concerning. It actually opened their mind a little bit and helped them think about things that they hadn't thought about before. So sometimes my approach does work, but I have never used the approach that I use in videos on people in person in my family. Whenever you approach people like that, you have to be very delicate, because if you're not, it's not going to work at all. And your goal should not be to turn them into an atheist. Your goal should simply be to have an open-minded discussion to get them thinking about things that maybe they hadn't thought about before. Because for me, and for almost anyone that I've talked to who wasn't, raised as an atheist, it is a long process. It takes years of thought and research and soul searching to figure out who you are, and to let go of something that you have been indoctrinated for years to believe in and feel like it's something that's very crucial to your identity. It takes a long time to let go of that kind of thing, so don't ever expect for your conversation with whoever it is that you're talking to produce immediate results, because I guarantee you that's not going to happen. And another reason why I say to handle it delicately is because you're in a different situation than they are mentally. You've gone through, like most atheists I've talked to have been religious before, you've gone through that deconversion process, and your mind has been open to new things, and you've been around atheism for a while, so you're kind of desensitized to it. Whenever you're talking to someone who's deeply religious, odds are they haven't been desensitized to it, so it's going to kind of hit them like a brick wall. It's going to shock them, and you cannot use arguments that a lot of people use in videos like mine on these types of people. A lot of times whenever I watch different videos of YouTube atheists, they use very similar arguments. Actually, this is with any atheist that I've come across. They use these different arguments and say things like, your God has as much evidence for its existence as fairies and hobgoblins and the flying spaghetti monster. And as true as that might be, that is not going to register with them, because in their mind, their religion is the truth. And they've been raised to believe that the Bible is evidence, or whatever holy book is evidence, and they feel like they've experienced things personally. So saying fairies and hobgoblins and flying spaghetti monsters sounds ridiculous to them. They haven't heard these things before, and you saying that just seems like you're trying to poke fun at them or agitate them, and that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to agitate them, it's not going to register with them, and they're just going to get angry. Recently I heard an atheist friend of mine arguing with someone, and they tried to make the point of, if you believe heaven is real, why would you cry at a funeral? Now, I understand this argument, and a lot of you watching this video might understand that argument because we've been around it. We understand the logic that goes behind it. But if you're saying this to someone who's deeply religious, they're going to think you sound like an idiot. Because if you've been religious before, I have, put yourself in their shoes. Whenever you were religious before you deconverted, you would cry at funerals, wouldn't you? And didn't you at the time also fully believe that they were going to heaven? Because I did. I went to funerals when I was religious, and I cried, and I felt sad, and I mourned, and I missed them. But I completely 100% believed they were in heaven and that they were in a better place, and I believed it. The logic behind atheists using this argument is if you believe heaven is real, and you believe you're going to see them when you die, why are you sad? They're in a better place, so you should be happy, right? You should be celebrating that they're gone, but you miss them. Therefore, part of you must deep down inside know that there is no heaven and that you're never going to see them again, and that's why you're sad. Otherwise, you should be happy. So that's why atheists use that argument. But when you're religious, that sounds ridiculous because you do believe they're in a better place, you do believe that heaven is real, and you do miss them, and you're very sad because they're not going to be with you anymore during your earthly existence, which life is something that everyone values, whether you're religious or not. When you have conversations with these people about atheism and you challenge their beliefs, which are things that they hold very dear to themselves, you kind of have to prepare them almost for what they're going to hear. Otherwise, it kind of blindsides them. And when somebody is not expecting something, they react more violently. And this is actually something that a good friend of mine, Dave Moscato from the American Atheist, has actually talked about before, and I'll have a link to his explanation of this also in the description below. But it's something that's called amygdala hijacking. And the amygdala is a part of your brain that is highly involved with your emotional response to things. And sometimes whenever you're not prepared for something, it elicits this flight or flight response that makes people react to things without really thinking it through, without really processing it. Our brain evolved from the inside out, and that's kind of what makes us unique, because the neocortex, or the very outer part of the brain, is what possesses the ability to process information. So you get a visual input, it goes into the thalamus, which relays the message to that neocortex, which is supposed to process the information. But whenever somebody gets a strong emotional reaction to something, it might be because that information didn't process in the brain. It goes straight to the amygdala, which influences emotions. You get the flight or fight response, you get the increase in adrenaline, and this emotional response can take over the brain in less than a millisecond. And like I said, if you want to know more about that, click the link in the description below because it's a really interesting talk. But it kind of explains a little bit further how people work, and if you make them feel attacked, what you're saying to them, highly offensive things that they're not used to hearing before, can completely bypass the processing part of the brain, which is what you're trying to reach whenever you have a debate or a discussion with someone. You're trying to get them to think. And another problem is that I don't think these people know what atheism even means. Atheism is simply the lack of a belief in God, but these people think atheism is the belief that there is no God, and I'm sure you've heard it before, but they say atheism requires as much faith as my religion does. They think that atheists hate God or hate Christians. We don't hate God. We don't believe in God. We don't hate Christians. We disagree with them. We might not like what religion does as a whole, but that has nothing to do with hating God, because you can't hate something that you don't believe in. So anyways, this is a really difficult topic. There's a lot of different things that go into it, and it's touchy for a lot of people. Like I said, it's a very slow process, so you can't expect fast results. But if you guys have any ideas of what to do, maybe something that I haven't mentioned yet, make sure to leave it as a comment so that it can help other people who are looking and reading through the comments on this video. Make sure to like this video, share it everywhere. If you want to check out my website, JacquelineGlenn.com, I have some really cool atheist and logic t-shirts on there, which help me out a lot on this channel and support me whenever you get those. Also, thank you to everyone supporting me in my Patreon page. That's actually doing pretty well right now, so I'm going to start doing some more high budget videos, so that should be interesting and something to look forward to in the future. Again, I hope you like this video. Like it, leave a comment, let me know what you think, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!
There's no God.